doing, Facebook land? It's your host of the Doctor's Office, Jody Coleman, a.k.a. Dr. Coleman from Question of the Day, Late Night with Dr. Coleman, etc., etc. Well, today we're going to talk about how people have unrealistic expectations on relationships and how it affects a relationship because of what they think it may or should be. But I'm not going to be up here talking about myself. I'm going to have, y'all may know, Jerod, McCain, a.k.a. Dr. Necka.
What's going on
the show.
Dr. Coleman, what's going on?
Have a seat right here. It's been a long time since we've been back on the Dr. Coleman kick, but we back. We took a little break. We wanted to, reevaluate a few things that we were doing. But before you came on, I was telling everybody about how individuals have an unrealistic expectation on a relationship or how a relationship is supposed to go. And that, in your opinion, how do you think that affects a relationship when you expecting one thing out of a relationship, but you know good and well that person can't live up to those expectations?
Basically, it kind of throws a monkey wrench in the whole relationship. Everybody has different levels of attraction to each other. Mm-hmm. So I think pretty much that drives a lot of the, a lot of the force that's put into relationships that kind of makes people go hard for that person, and then the other person, may or may not go back hard for them, depending on, what's going on.
Where do you think that comes from? And relationships, like I said, this is just an opinion. This is not factual information, so please don't sue us. I'm a doctor only on Facebook. But no, seriously, a lot of times, and it's just not for men, it's not just for women, it's for everybody.
Right.
I think that sometimes in their mind they have a way they want the relationship to go. Mm-hmm. But they don't communicate. Like everybody say, the key to relationships is communication.
But sometimes, Dr. Coleman, there is communication, and sometimes you just don't want to hear what's being communicated to you. Sometimes, you can tell somebody, like, hey, look, we can kick it, but I'm really not that interested in going as far as you want to go. And I know some people say, well, why even get into it if you're not going? Because sometimes you still want to see what that person is like, You still want to, experience that person's friendship or that person's, whatever it is that y'all doing, but it does not, everything does not have to end up in marriage.
And I think that's a good point, and I think that's where the unrealistic things come.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's because they're like, okay, I'm going to get in this relationship with such and such. And if it don't end in marriage, I wasted my time. I've heard so many people say that it's a waste of time. Nothing is ever a waste of time. It's just an experience.
This is the thing with that, man. Sometimes you only with people for a certain amount of time to get you ready for the next person.
That could be,
and everything's not going to result in relationship or boyfriend, girlfriend, or marriage. That's life. It's not going to happen. So when somebody does something that, you didn't expect, or you expected it, but, it just hadn't happened yet, you can't, I don't feel like you can get that upset. It's life. People do things that may not be what you wanted them to do. It's their life.
Well, let me ask you this, because from a male's perspective, what are some things that can be misconstrued out here when it comes to relationships as far as unrealistic expectations that we put on a woman? Because that's a lot of pressure. What are some of the stereotypes or some of the things that people may think, in your opinion, that men do to women when they come into a relationship and they're like, oh, this woman, I need her to be blank?
A lot of men want women to be super women when they come into a relationship. A lot of men, they need women to, cook, clean, work, take care of them, and do all of those extra things. Some men need that.
And do you think that's an unrealistic expectation to have going into a relationship?
Yes.
Now, because I'm going to go ahead and say that, kind of piggyback on what you had said, Dr. Nexus had said about the men putting that pressure on that woman to come in and to be the superwoman, and then it's like, okay, if you can't be the cook, my freak in the bed, my et cetera, this relationship can't work. But you cannot put that type of pressure on anybody, let alone put it on a woman that's coming in and just met you.
But that's why you got to give things time. Regardless of what happens during that period, you still got to give them time. Some people, we kick it for 6 months to a year, and then we're meant to be together.
Yeah.
well, we should get married. But no, like, that year, you haven't even met enough people to figure out if you like that person more than you like these other people that you're going to meet.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And I see some relationships go 6, 7, 8 years before they even, get the idea or the notion to even want to get married.
What kind of changing gears going to the female? What are some of the unrealistic expectations that you have seen that women put on men before they can even get into a relationship with that man?
One of the main things is giving up other women. That is a real unrealistic expectation. Like,
oh no, wait a minute.
No, seriously.
But you can't. This is the doctor's office, and that's not to me. And I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I don't think a woman should have to get in a relationship with a man and think that he's not going to give up the other women if she does what she's supposed to do in a relationship. I think a man should be faithful.
Okay, that's all good. But what I'm saying is, coming into the relationship, that woman automatically wants that man to give up the other options that he has, without even the relationship being proven that it can work.
Yeah, but I think that it has a better chance of working if you eliminate the extra stuff outside of it. Like, let's say you meet a woman and then you're dating Jane and she's still dating John. How can y'all really get to know each other if y'all still got other elements that's occupying your time?
Well, that has to be decided after some time of dating. That's why it was called dating. There's a difference between dating and being in a relationship.
But a lot of women feel like, and I'm not going to just put on women, it's people in general, they go on 2 or more dates, they have sex, that is a relationship.
Right, and that's unrealistic expectations. Because you're always going to be attracted to somebody before you even know them. Right. You're going to have that sexual and that physical and that, sometimes if the person is very intelligent, that mental stimulation to want to be with that person like that.
Well, what's another thing, another unrealistic expectation that a woman may put on a man that puts that pressure on that man where that guy could be a good man for her?
That he's already her husband.
And explain that a little bit.
Like, you treat a woman nice and everything is, because everything is, not saying that everything will always be good at the beginning, but at the beginning, things are a lot easier because y'all just get to know each other. Everybody's being nice to each other. So, of course, you're going to be like, he might be my husband. Well, I think I have a husband.
But do you think, because you got to think of how men and women are brought up. We got daughters, and, we also have sons. But look from the daughter's perspective, we're teaching our daughters to be, you're going to be clean, and then when you get to this man, he's going to be your husband. That's what we teach them. That's what the fairy tales are all about. But we got our sons, and let's be realistic. We like, man, we want them to kind of be the playboy. We don't kind of teach it's okay for our sons to come home and have several different girlfriends, and that's why I think the things is being taught wrong. I think if the young men would talk the same way the young ladies,
I'm not going to agree to that because I got a 14-year-old daughter, and she been kind of dibbling and dabbling with trying to date and whatever, and I saw a picture of the one little boy she liked, and I was like, well, there's nothing else out there for you that you can pick from because this model is broken. Just talk to a few boys.
Well, what I'm saying is I think when a woman finds a good man and they find a man that they can, feel like they can spend their time
with. What is a good man though?
Well, that's for another show.
How do you know that man is a good man when you first meet him? It could be an act. It could be if that.
Evidently, that's what happens because a lot of women, the divorce rate is at 57%. So evidently, somebody wasn't good. Because it wouldn't be that high of a divorce rate if everybody was good for that person. But as far as a good man, I think that goes for another Dr. Coleman's doctor's office, Dr. Nichols segment. But you can kind of sense who you want to be with. They may be good or bad, but you know who you want to be with. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna have an idea of what, a man, we look in visual. If I see a beautiful woman, we don't look and see if she's crazy or not. We don't. We like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to date old girl. She could be crazy, but I can get over that.
Right.
Because she's beautiful.
And that's the same thing women do. Like, he's attractive and he's got this or he's got that going for him. I can look over him having other chicks right now. I can look over him saying to me that I don't want to be married or I don't want a girlfriend. I can overlook that right now. And then they may even throw in some other things like, starting to buy you stuff or whatever, whatever the case may be to keep your attention.
And see, that right there is an unrealistic expectation on a relationship, because if you had a man at the beginning and you're allowing him to do certain things like have other women, well, I'm gonna be cool.
But what do you mean allowing him? He's grown. You can't allow or disallow anybody to do anything.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying for her as a woman, allowing that to continue to happen, because it's her choice to stay or go.
True.
So when a woman allows, and that's why I say allowed, I use that term loosely, but a woman allows that behavior to continue, but don't allow that type of behavior to continue for 6 or 7 months, and then all of a sudden you get to the 8th month, you can't take it anymore. That's something that you have to nip in the bud early, or it's going to continue to happen throughout the relationship. And then that's when you'll get frustrated and feel like that man did you wrong.
But maybe you wouldn't even last that long if that wasn't even an option, because some men just say, okay, well, you own that. Okay, I'll take my chances with these other women that I'm dealing with.
And if that is to happen, then that woman needs to go on her separate ways and understand what's good for her in a relationship. She has to understand, and vice versa, because it's some men that women do the same thing that
they do. They do. It's a part of human nature. It's a part of, the people with more options is going to do more stuff until they find somebody that eliminates those options.
And that's where I think with the unrealistic expectations, like I see women that actually have a list. They actually have lists of what they want this man to be. Okay, he needs to do
because they just saw some Tyler Perry movies.
They just saw, hey, Tyler Perry, I love you. I think you make great movies, but every dude is not don't beat women, and every dude don't cheat on their girl. But that's how sometimes it's portrayed to be. And when you look at the society, when they go see those type of movies, they like, oh, I want my man to be this knight in shining armor at the end of the movie, and they get their checklist out, and then you got them, they got to have a job, they got to have this, they got to have that. And then it's like, okay, that dude don't live up to one criteria on that list, he's X'd off, but that guy could have been a great guy for that woman.
And then some of the women who's got those criteria, they're not angels themselves. It's the ones that, oh, I've been done that, I've done all that, now I know what I want.
Right. And I think that's something that we need to really speak upon on unrealistic expectations as well, because some women will go and when they were 18 and 20 and 25, they mess with
and 30 boy, and and 32 and 33 and come on now, it's not they not that far removed.
But you know what I'm saying? As far as looking at the Facebook audiences and letting them know that they go through high school and they got the dope boyfriend picking them up with the great cars, and then they get older and they get into that type of life where they dealt with this type of dude, and then they become 30 and 31 and 32. They have kids, which is no problem. Men love kids, but you've been kind of had a reputation for yourself, and then all of a sudden, oh, I want a husband now. Okay, you done slept with half the city, and now you want a husband. Not saying that you're not allowed to get one. Of course you're allowed to get one, but don't get upset when that guy doesn't come and be beating down your door to take your hand in marriage, because you done mess with several different people. Then you're like, well, I got to move. Then that's your excuse to move out the city today. That's not my fault that you slept with half the city and thought that everybody was going to be your husband. I'm sorry. We got to keep it real on the doctor's office. I know that some of y'all may be like, oh, who is he to say? I'm nobody to say. You don't have to listen to a word I say, but y'all know it's true because you getting angry.
And for the most part, it's the same with the guys, but, I guess the mentality is different with men and women, because women, they say they don't really care about your past, but what they do is they accept it, but they use it and it turns into insecurities in their heads, and that's where a lot of the problems with those relationships come in at, because they're like, okay, he just slept with all these women, and now I'm with him. I know he's going to do this. I know he's going to do that, or if he does this, then that's a sign that he's doing that again or whatever. And that I guess that's where that interchanges that for with the guys. If they know they have a woman who's been around the block, they got insecurities, but now it's more of a, I'm going to control her so she doesn't
do that anymore.
Relapse. Right. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? Right. So she doesn't relapse. So now she can't do this. Now she can't do that. He's checking her phone and blah, blah, blah. So now she's mad at this guy. So now she reverts back to her old ways.
And that's true. And like I said, the number one thing, before we close up this segment, the number one thing that I feel is a unrealistic expectation is when a woman or a man get in a relationship and they think they can change that individual. They think that, okay, I get with this man, I'm going to, okay, he has this different way. I'm going to be the woman that comes and change this man. Then it's the man that's like, I'm going to come and I don't care that she did such and such, and I'm going to change that. And that's where I think the whole relationship process gets jacked up because of the fact that you think that you can change the individual, and you cannot change anybody. They're going to have to be themselves. Either they have to accept them, or you're not going to have to accept them.
Accept them or what?
And that's as simple as I can put it. You got any last word?
All I want to say is, ladies and gentlemen, just think about what you're doing before this relationship thing comes up, because it's a serious commitment. It's a serious responsibility, and not everybody wants it. Not everybody is ready for it. So, before you consider somebody your man or your woman, or y'all going that far, just, consider what the possibilities will be.
Right. Well, thank you for coming on the doctor's office, Dr. Necka. Check him out on Late Night with Dr. Coleman, and he should be around for our next segment, but that's all we have for you this evening.
All right, Dr. Coleman.
Like I said, final thoughts from Dr. Coleman. Unrealistic expectations in relationships. You never can change anybody. You're going to have to let them be themselves, and that's how the relationship will grow. Learn their faults and learn all the things about them and love it. Love it the same way you hate all the other stuff. That's all I can say for that. Doctor's office, your host, Dr. Coleman. Check us out. Peace.